Today on wood turning, we're going to do an interesting project called inside-out turning, and we're going to make Christmas ornaments.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner for wood turners.
Inside-out turning really isn't that complicated once you learn the process, but it is a process because to make this piece, it's made from 4 different pieces of walnut, and actually the stuff on the inside was turned first. It involves a lot of gluing, a lot of sawing, things like that. It's a process, like I said. And when you're trying to learn a process, you need all the resources you can get. And where I researched this to figure out all the different techniques you could use was through the American Association of Woodturners magazine, American Woodturner. Now this is a great resource. And if you become a member of the AAW, you get access to every single magazine that they've ever published. You can go online, see it digitally, or you can get this in the mail when you get your membership. It's really cool. And they have all sorts of projects. It's a great resource for anything you want to do with turning. And turning is a lot broader than you can imagine with all the different projects, all the different things you can do. When I first started turning, I was on my own and didn't know anything, and some of the things I did were really, really dangerous. And then I found out about the American Association of Woodturners, and there was a club in my area. I joined them, and all of a sudden I realized, oh, you don't do that with a bowl gouge or a skew. You could wind up taking your head off. But so it's a very helpful resource, and safety is one of the things that they really get into, and that is one of the things we're going to emphasize all the way through this project today, because we're going to be turning pieces of wood glued together, and sometimes that get a little sketchy. And you can see I have these in various stages right now to show you the process on how we're going to make the inside out turning. But to start with it, we're going to take this piece of wood and go to the bandsaw. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm setting up my bandsaw to cut out the pieces of walnut. This is 2-inch thick walnut, which in real terms means it's not quite 2 inches thick. So I measured this out at 1 3/4 inches for here and here, and I'll have to cut another couple pieces to finish the project, but right now I'm just going to show you how to do what we got to do with these 2 pieces right here. So I've got the bandsaw set up. You notice the throat's a little high right now. Well, I had to do that so I could get my edge here underneath there. So I need my straight edge to go underneath, and that would have hit if I had that any lower. So in that case, you just want to be a little more careful, and I'm going to use a push stick to be more safe. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to turn this on, and we're going to put the first piece of wood through. And right now I don't need a push stick because I'm not down into the little tiny stuff. So if you take your time, the blade will track true on the line. If you have a thinner blade and you push really fast, it wants to curve out. So just take your time as you push this through. Oh, I love the smell of walnut. It's a beautiful wood. Now, the last little bit right here, just take it slow. Let it emerge through there like so. Grab this, move it out of the way. Get my push stick and knock that out. Now, here's the next trick. I'm going to take this. I just cut that edge, right? I'm going to turn this on its side, and you can see now I got to cut a little bit more off, and I'm going to make a perfectly square piece of wood. By the way, this is about 6 inches long. So I'll keep pushing through and take my time, and I get this nice little sliver of wood. So there we go. I've got one done, and I'll go ahead and do the other one. And then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, now I went ahead and got 2 more pieces cut because I've got to show you this part of the process. And see the grain of the wood curving? That one's kind of the odd man out. But what I'm trying to do is make the grain go one direction or the other. You can reverse it, flip them out like that, but make them match so when you're turning this, they have a symmetrical grain look after you're done. Now, this is like herding cats. Next step I'm going to do here, I'm just going to draw a really perfect circle here, right? I'm going to label that 1, that 2, that 3, and that 4. I need to keep track of which one is which while I'm doing the process here. Now the next step of the process is we're going to our jointer. it says jointer, but I can't ever remember if the T is silent on there. And yes, I do have woodworking tools other than a bandsaw. I just don't have room for them. Now, if you have a table saw, you can skip this step entirely, because when you cut these on the table saw, they're going to be perfectly clean on either side. But on a bandsaw, it's a little wiggly and gooey. Gooey? Gumpy, bumpy, lumpy. Yeah, there's verbiage in my head somewhere. We'll find it today, I hope. Anyway, you got to clean it up so you can glue it together and it fits together well. Now, when I got this thing 20 years ago or whatever, the very first thing I did is said, cool, what's the red thing? And I swiped it aside. Don't do that, because when I did that, I ran my hand across these razor blades that are right here. I still shiver when I think about that today. And now I'm glad I shared that thought with you, because it's going to be in your head forever now too. So the first thing I want to do is, I've got this cutting a little bit less than a 32nd of an inch. So I'm just going to take a little shaving off. And I've got my circle here, right? I want to plane this side and this side right now, just so I can get them all flushed up. Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm only going to plane this side, because what happens is we're going to glue 1 and 2 together like so, right? And this piece of wood was actually planed when I bought it, so this side's perfect. So we're going to go ahead and plane number 2. And I'm going to get my glasses on. This thing's going to be loud, so once it gets going, I'm just going to go. You have these great little paddles which help you hold the wood, and so you don't get into the blade. The other thing is, you use this paddle and you push it up against this railing right here, which is at a 90-degree angle. By pushing it into there, you make sure that you get a nice straight cut on the bottom. You don't want to be away from this when you push it through. So let's power her up. Here we go. Now that right there, that is perfectly smooth. And so when I butt that up with this right here, we're going to get a good glue joint, because they fit beautifully. See, there's no gap whatsoever. Now, since we're gluing these in pairs, I have to do 3 and 4 also. Eventually, they go together like this. And the numbers aren't that important, other than they're telling me who goes here. The circle is what's really important, so it keeps me aligned with where I'm putting things. So I know that I want to glue these two together right there. So this could have been 3 and 4 or 3 and 4, however you want to work it. So, ow. I'm going to plane this edge here, get that done, and then we're going to do a little glue up. Where's my other paddle? There it is. Now for the gluing process, it takes a very technical product to help you do this. Paper bags. That looks familiar, doesn't it? So anyway, we use the paper bag because what we want to do later is split this apart. Well, if you just glued wood to wood, you couldn't split that apart, especially when you're using something like Titebond. I mean, it becomes the wood practically. You probably split the wood itself on this side before you split it at the seam. So I've got a piece of brown paper here, and you want the brown paper because it's a little thicker, and so I'm lining it up here, and I'm just going to take my knife here and waste not, want not, just cut out what I need. See if I can do this. There we go. And so now I have a piece of paper that, you know, shapes really well. So when you spread the glue out, I was looking and I saw even videos online where people are using sticks and things like that to spread the glue out. And I thought, well, that's really good because you want good coverage, but at the same time, it's almost like an extra step. Since these are perfectly flat, make sure they're oriented right, I'm just going to take this, squeeze it together, and just start rubbing a little bit. And look at that. You get, it's almost like doing grout or doing mace or, you know, Portland cement or something when you're troweling it out. So that's perfectly level now, and it's evenly spread. So we'll take this and put it on there. One little trick I've learned is if you run your thumb, get it centered, run your thumb along the middle, you're squeezing out some of the glue, so it's going to be less likely to slide. Now is where we get into the fiddly part. Because anytime, you guys are woodworkers know this, when you clamp something, it wants to slide because the glue's squishing around like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow some clamps right here, whoops, from the next piece we're going to be turning in a little bit. And these are great because they don't clamp down super hard right off the bat, so I can get my clamp started and make sure that everything is aligned the way I want it. So what I really want is for this surface to be as flat as possible. Yeah. I knew one thing I forgot was paper towels. There we go. Grip strength. So anyway, I've got that going. It's nice and flat, and actually I got a little squeeze out going, so I'm pretty good. If you're a little bit worried about getting enough glue squeeze out, and squeeze out means you clamped it tight enough that it's as tight as it'll go and the glue makes the best surface contact you can make, you can get yourself some little clamps. And let's see here. Going the wrong way. There we go. And you can actually come in with a clamp and it put added pressure on there. What I like about these clamps is they help me position things the way I want them off the bat, and then I can really crank it to it with another clamp and make it tighter. So the deal is I'm going to do this to numbers 3 and 4, and then we have to wait 24 hours to be safe for this to glue and to hold up. Then what you do is you take it back to the planer and say the glue side is right here. I'm going to want to glue the next thing, these two together here. So you'd want to plane that, and I have an example right here of two sides that are ready to go. So let's just run to the planer real quick. This is a different shape. It's this little bitty one right here. So I'll show you how we make a shape, put this one together, and then we're going to move on to doing some turning and dropping more clamps. Now these pieces have set up for 24 hours, and obviously you've got glue that's come out and everything else like that. So that is why we're back at the planer, because we want this to fit really nicely right here. And you can see right now some of these sizes are different, but we'll take care of that in the next step. So anyway, I want to plane the sides that are touching, so everything will be like this when it goes through the planer. Got it? Got it. Good. Okay, gonna put that there, gonna run and get my glasses, and then we will plane.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a woodturner for woodturners.